Hi, welcome to our Facebook Live class. I'm Kat Sylvia and I'm joined with Julie Bean, and we have Becky Nunn of Nunn Design here with us in the Beadaholique design space. We are so thrilled to have you, Becky. Thank you so much for coming down.
It's great
to be with us.
here. Thanks.
Yes, welcome. And you've brought so many wonderful things to show us here too. So we're very excited.
Yes.
So we're going to be doing an earring project in our video today, and Becky's also going to help us and let us know a little bit more about her design aesthetic and kind of how to put it all together, but also she's going to give us a little sneak peek into sort of how she came up with this collection. So, but if you've joined us for Facebook Live before, you know that we always do a giveaway, so we had to do a nice giveaway with Becky Nunn while she was here. So I just want to point out our giveaway here, and it's in these two tins, and you're going to get this whole thing, and this is part of Becky Nunn's new collection, and this is the Nunn design, so you really get some beautiful pieces here. And these are definitely nature inspired, so if that inspires you, these pieces will be great. So go ahead and just leave a comment anytime during our Facebook Live. We're going to give it away at the end. So leave a comment, let us know where you're tuning in from. If you have a question about anything mixed media, anything Nunn design, please hit us up. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Let me tell you first, this is a $75 retail value, this kit is, and it has a little bit of, all of the collection is mixed in there. So you have a little bit of the nature charms that were released, you have a little bit of the hoops, and you have a little of the bead caps. And we're also going to be going over all of those items and all of the things that I've created, and some of the members of my team. Are you here, guys? At Nunn Design have put together some of the samples that we've created with this new collection. So you'll get inspiration and fun things that you can do with this new product line. And then hopefully you'll enter and we'll find out who wins at the end.
Yeah. We will. And I don't know if you're like me, but if I was watching right now, I'd want to see what's in these tins.
Okay.
Let's
Because my curiosity is piqued. So I love these little vintage tins, but I want to see what I get to play with potentially.
Ooh.
So these are some really lovely charms, and they're really a nice weight to them. And you're going to see more of them when we go over the whole collection here and some of the design ideas. But really a lot of goodies to play with.
So this is part of the nature collection that we just released. These are a series of open frame hoops, and we'll go over all kinds of creativity and some ideas of what you can do with these. And this is the series of bead caps that we also released. So all of these products are manufactured in the United States. These are cast from a lead-free pewter, and then they're plated with 0.999 fine silver, 24 karat gold, and copper. The same is true for here for the plating. These are brass, solid brass hoops, and then plated with those same platings, but these are a shiny sterling. And then the bead caps are also brass and then plated. So all of these findings are made within the United States.
All right, great. And we're going to show you some really fun ideas of what you can do with them as well. And I don't know if you have an idea, Becky, of which ones you would want to start with. I know you've got some great trays of different inspiration ideas to show us.
Let's start with the earrings.
Okay, and maybe we could start with the one I'm wearing, because I grabbed a pair, so you can kind of see how they look on. And I have to say, one of the things I love about these, I didn't know until I put them on, they jingle.
Yes.
So I've been having a lot of fun with them jingling.
Yeah.
So that's one of the pairs, and then we have a whole tray of other ones right here. And I like that these are all a lot of like mix and matching, but they all look really cohesive.
Yes.
So you paired a lot of different elements together, but it looks like a really solid design.
What I love about working with these bead caps and the product line of Nunn Design in general is I call it Legos for women. They can mix and match and stack on top of each other, but creativity really comes out in this particular line for me. The earrings that we just saw of Julie's, it is this bead cap, these pieces right here, but you can squish the petals together, and then I stacked.
I'm gonna pull it off real quick.
Right. So I stacked the two bead caps on top of each other. So you can start to think about, there's some aspects of it that just happen as you assemble. You just start to, like, what would happen if I turned this upside down and fit this inside of that? And so a lot of this play is showing examples of that. Like this example of the earrings, this bead cap is turned upside down. There's another bead cap inside of there. Giving it some motion, some flowing up. Here's another example. I love this little pair. These also jingle because there's a variety.
Makes me so happy.
I know, they're just so, they're not only fun to look at, they're fun to make, and they're really fun to wear because they have movement, and all of them start to have their own feel and look. Like I thought this looked like a genie in a bottle sort of look.
Oh yeah.
You know.
And those are just the acorns.
Those are acorns that were 2 of them put together. I have a little rim of glue on the inside that keeps that intact. Yeah, a lot of stacking going on. Here's another example of them just turned into, you know, a variety of different directions. And then we're also seeing a lot of the Nunn design faceted beads within this collection. It just pairs so much nicely. It has more of a organic, natural feel, but it fits really well with that whole elegant look.
They're nice and rich.
Yes.
And the colors are just really stunning.
I also like how you're mixing metals.
Yes.
Like here's
Yeah.
just a pop of copper, and then down here you have just a little bit more copper, and is that even a little gold in there too?
Yes, yeah.
So I think it's really fun to, like you said, you're playing as like Legos, but you don't have to just have silver go with silver. You can add, you know, the mix of the silver and the gold, or the copper and the gold. So I think that's really a fun tip for people too, who sometimes think that they need to stay within the same color family
Right.
of metals. It's nice to know you don't have to, and it looks really great.
And it's really fun to see, you know, you can have a group of people and each person's comes out different. Each person's hand, each person's aesthetics. And in this day and age when we have so much, you know, production of, you know, clothing and things like that, it is just so nice to have your accessories be uniquely yours.
Yeah.
And especially if you're doing a show and you have a variety of different things. Somebody can walk up and they're seeing that they're going to get a one-of-a-kind look.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But it's all the same palette, just mixed in different ways.
Yeah, because you can see it's a lot of repetition, but they're all so unique.
Yes.
And I'm so awed by this.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
They're really, really fun. They're
Yeah.
just super fun to play. I can't wait till you guys can get your hands on it.
I know.
So let's go ahead and look at the open frames next.
Okay, I'm going to
So-
move this one aside.
Great. So the open frames, it's a series, we saw these earlier in the giveaway. It's a series of hoops like this. And when I decided to come up with this line and to release this line, it was because you wouldn't know it, but it's really hard to have a continuous loop like that.
Yeah.
The only way to really create this look is for a jewelry artist to solder the rim of you know, a piece of brass, and they make a seamless joint. So you have to solder it, you have to clean it. So to offer something that was just already pre-done was a no-brainer for me because I needed it. And here's some examples of the fun things that I created and some of the members of the Nunn Design team created. This is one look. And also when I'm designing, I'm looking for something that can have many usages. So it works with the epoxy clay, it works with resin. Here's another example of it used as just a connector and then some things dangling off of it. This one is done by the Nunn Design team member Melissa Williamson. She's also our graphic designer. This is Christy Ballard's. She has incorporated all kinds of crystal clay pieces that are covered with mica. So you can see how you're incorporating all kinds of different techniques, the Nunn Design that we teach, into the findings. This is a fantastic piece that was done by Cheryl Weinstein. Those who purchase from Nunn Design, you have contact with Cheryl because she's the one that handles all of the orders. She did this fabulous piece using leftover bits of resin, and we actually are going to be doing a video on that technique here in the studio after we get done with the Facebook Live. So that video will be coming to you soon.
Well, I hope so. We're getting lots of hearts and love on that piece. Everyone loves that one.
It
Can
is
we
so
actually
great.
pick it up so
Yes.
that people can see?
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
it's actually clear. So I think that what isn't that maybe it's easy to see against the black, but this is one of those pieces that I look at. I'm like, how on earth do you do this?
So-
Which I love.
Yeah,
I love it when it's like that. I'm like, how?
We want people to think it's complicated.
It looks complicated.
Well, it is a little bit, but it's not too terribly. So what Cheryl did on this piece is she took a piece of packing tape and it's on the back, And then she had, the day before, we have quarterly art days, the day before she had poured out on a couple of pieces of plastic, some Ziploc bags, some mixed resin.
Okay.
And then she let that cure for about 12 hours, and it's really malleable. And then she punched it and cut it and made a collage with that leftover resin, or with that resin that was cured. And then she made a little design. She did a couple of really fantastic pieces that are on our blog. And then she poured a clear resin over the top of that. So well, we'll be doing something similar to that as far as the video today. And then these are just fun examples. I just think this looks like candy.
Yeah.
Of all kinds of ways in which you can use the open hoops to create a variety of different looks.
So what we're seeing
So
here,
we're seeing is like on this one, it would be the largest size hoop and the next size hoop. And that creates now a piece that you can put a jump ring through. So here's some examples of them assembled also, either with some sort of cording or with chain. You can make it look really contemporary or a little bit more boho hip. And then on these pieces, when I was doing this collection here, it was super fun, because what I did is I just laid all of the pieces out on the table, and then I started to do the combinations, like, oh, what would it look like if it was a bigger size hoop inside of a smaller size hoop, or not reverse, or what would it look like? This is another line that we have, our open frames. Do you recognize these little pieces? I just cut off the loop and use that inside of there. So you can create all kinds of different looks to create either a negative space within the piece. And anyway, so that they were just super fun. And so this is all colorized resin, just mixing a two-part, Nunn-designed two-part resin, and then adding a little bit of the opaque crafting cast pigments into it. Then when you're done, and it's cured, you pull the tape off the back, and you use either the tape to remove the stickies, or there's another product called Goo Gone that helps release.
Yep.
Those you guys like very familiar with that one.
Goo Gone is a very versatile product.
Yeah, right. Especially those who have kids and you have to pull the stickers off the back of the car, off the car window. So anyway, those are some examples of using the open frame hoops. And then the third item within this collection we can pull out is, let's take a look at all of the nature collection.
Okay. Let me grab this out of your way real quick.
So we have the nature collection here, and so we did 3 different boards. The third one is right here.
Closer to Kat.
And thank you for everyone who's tuning in and commenting. We have people from Louisiana and Canada and Malta. So keep commenting. And if you guys have any questions for Becky, she is at your disposal today. So ask away.
So here are some examples of using the nature collection. And I'm going to do a little demo that kind of shows the process of what I did to create these. These are all part of the nature collection. And we have a couple of videos on your site already where I used a silicone molding putty to create a mold. And then in this case, I had dried some organics, and we have some tutorials that will be coming up on the Beadaholique of ways in which to preserve organics and how to dry them. Like if you have a wedding bouquet, for example, or wedding flowers, or things that you want to somehow preserve, and then how to incorporate that into jewelry. So we are going to give a little demo on how to do that. So on these, I just made a silicone mold, pressed the organics in there. I used epoxy clay to make my models, so I made an impression with that, and then we cast them. So again, these are cast in lead-free pewter, and then they're plated. This is an example of whether plated in the copper. These are plated in the .999 fine silver, and these are plated in the 24 karat gold. So it's showing a collection of just, in this series, it's very boho. I incorporated a lot of suede and cord with the pieces. But what's so fun about this is that it doesn't have to look any particular way. You can use them in many different ways. Here's an example. Heather Thompson, who is our production chief, I don't know, Heather, what do you call yourself? She created this by using some colorant right over the piece, and then you can also start to change the look of the pieces. That has the two-part resin that's been colorized and then smeared over the top of it to kind of just give it a little additional look.
So that's actually resin. I
That's
thought
actually
that
resin.
was paint.
No, that's actually
Oh,
resin
very
on top of there.
interesting.
But you could do it with paints. You could do it with the vintage paints. You could do
Oh,
it
yeah.
with the Swelligans paints. You can do it with even acrylic paints. That particular one is done with resin.
Really makes the design pop.
It
You really
does.
get to see
Yes, it
that
does.
nature.
Right.
I think it's nice too because you're coordinating it with the other piece.
Right.
Suddenly
Yeah.
they match,
Right.
which is really
and,
nice.
And here's another example. Here are the open hoops. This is actually a bezel. One of the Nunn designed the Grande pendant. And here are two of the open hoops that we saw that were placed inside of there to give that color block look. So it's super fun. And then, from here, there's, very little technique that's going on at all. It's just adding a pair of the Nature Collection charms right onto a jump ring, and boom, you have a pair of elegant earrings.
Well, and with the twisted jump rings there, they just look so nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just any jump ring. It's even the jump ring has a little bit of interest to it, which
Yeah.
I love.
All right, so do you want to see how that's done? You
I
want to see
would
that
love
demo?
to.
of
Yes,
that?
please.
Okay.
Let
All
me
right,
help
so
pull
let's
these.
move these guys aside.
And then I think this is a good time to give people a reminder in case you're just tuning in. We're actually doing a giveaway during this Facebook Live that we're going to pick a winner at random from everyone who comments. And it is a Nunn Design giveaway. It's all these beautiful pieces that you see here. It's over $75 worth of wonderful inspiration pieces. And at the end of the show here today, we will pick one winner and we'll say your name live here on the air and we will send you these. So a lot of fun things to play with and just really jumpstart your jewelry designs. I think it's great too because we're getting into the holidays right now. You can make some beautiful gifts too with these items.
Yeah, I just want to give some more shout outs. Hi, Candace from Trinidad and Tobago, all the way. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we have Diana from Poland and Angie from Tennessee. Keep those comments coming, guys.
All right.
Oh, hi, Kat. Another cat there's out there.
All right, so this, we're going to talk about like how something like this was created. So I dried the organics. Like I said, there's multiple ways in which to dry the organics, and throughout the summertime I was harvesting all of this organics from my yard, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I just started to gather them, and then one morning I woke up and I just had this inkling that I needed to organize them. Do you ever have that? It's like this urge for something to come out, but I wasn't sure what it was. And so usually when that muse is calling, it starts out with just get organized.
Yeah.
It's like it's just a sign that I need to just pull my stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took my big box of all of this stuff that I had been preserving over the summer, and I started to organize it into little pouches, into little containers. And then once I got them all organized, I was like, I want to try something. And this is what came from that. So what I used to create this piece is I made a silicone mold. And how you do that is there's a silicone molding putty that you guys offer here at Beadaholique. It's produced by ETI. And I took off, out of the containers, I pinched off 2 equal-sized balls. These were balls at the beginning, but now, over time, they just slowly start to morph into blobs. And then I have a little bit of my organics. And I'm kind of just thinking about like, what is the look that I'm wanting to create? So in this particular one, this was actually the flower that made that tulip-like stem. And I knew that I kind of wanted to have, something else. So I think that was like some sort of a blade of grass or something like that. So I had all kinds of pieces organics that I had on the table, because you have to work really quickly with this with this putty. Once you mix it, you have about a minute before this starts to set up.
Oh, wow, that is
Yeah,
fast.
it's really fast. Well, I think it actually says something different on the packaging. I think and I think it has everything to do with the heat of the room, the climate, the humidity. So I'm just gotten into the habit of like telling myself I have a minute because I don't want to miss that window.
Right.
So before I even start to mix this clay, this putty together, I have my organics ready. I have some wet wipes handy because I want to be moving as quick as possible when I'm doing this. So the first step is you take your silicone putty, equal parts, and you mix it. And sometimes I say I break a sweat, you know, because I'm moving as fast as I can, and I'm using the palms of my hands. Have you guys worked with this?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kinda
You're
like,
going fast. You're hustling.
It's the adrenaline of it all. Anyway, this is actually a really big amount of clay that I pulled, the 2 silicone putty. So we won't be needing this much for this particular, you saw that little organic that I pulled was so tiny. So you mix those 2 parts together until it's no longer mottled, and it's one consistent feel in the color of the clay. And now I'm just using the palms of my hand to roll it into a nice smooth ball. We're not going to want to have creases in there at all. And then I like to put a piece of plastic down so that my silicone putty won't stick to my paper. And then I just use the top to kind of give it a nice flat look.
It's a dual purpose.
I know, it's like, so now I have a nice flat putty ball, and you can see I have a little bit of modeling in there. I'll just flip it over. And then just take your organics and then just press it right into that piece like that. And then you just let that set. And that's going to give us the mold. So that's what's creating this really high contrast that we're seeing here in those petals. And then, you know, after I let that set, I brought an example of, here's another mold that I had made. We didn't actually end up going with this because, you know, a lot of people wouldn't be able to identify what is that. I mean, I know that's a rose hip, but, you know, it's like, is that a lollipop? Is that a...
It's cool looking.
It is so cool. So anyway, once you pull this, after it's cured, it's really firm, like you're seeing here. And you bend back the sides and that organics will pop out, and then you have a mold that you can work with. Then what I did is I took 2-part A and B of the crystal clay, which we're seeing here. This is the white that I was working with. You mix these 2 parts together, and then you press them into the actual mold, and you can get an imprint like, for example, this would have come out of that mold, and you can see that that would have been the impression that I made. And you know, here's all kinds of samples of the variety of molds. I made dozens and dozens of these molds in order to select I think we came out with 5 total.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing some familiars.
Yeah. You know, and
you did all that just with this.
Yes,
That's incredible.
Yeah. So on some of this, you know, some of the, like the ferns, this one didn't release yet, but these I did not dry. I used these right when they were fresh, so that they didn't wither up at all. But a lot of this is like seed pods, and you can see, like, even for a design like this, I mean, I did dozens and dozens of samples to get just the right composition. That's what it just took.
Yeah.
Because even this was a little bit too large. This didn't have enough detail for me. And so then after all of this is done, we then turned around and we cast them. And then even I weeded out a ton from that process because they were way too heavy. You know, like this piece right here ended up being the heaviest one that we ended up doing, and that's a pretty. It feels it has a really nice weight to it. It has some weight to it. It's a really nice piece, and I probably wouldn't have chosen that myself, because I'm a very petite person and I'm more attracted to the smaller pieces. But when I was doing testing, like I would bring them to several parties and picnics and all this other stuff to say, hey, which ones do you guys like best? And then I waited to hear, and this was up on the top 3 every single time. And so, you know, it's not about what I like, it's about also what I know that the marketplace is going to want, you know. So this was one of the most popular pieces. And so it ended up in the line. But this gives an example of like how I came up with this collection. It was super fun to do.
Yeah, so this is all stuff that you just sort of it's just found objects. That's so fantastic.
Yeah, well, this is all organic
Yeah.
objects, but we have on the, I think we've done a couple of tutorials, videos with you guys where did the same process and then we use colorized resin over the top
Yes.
of it to
Yep,
create, it's
very
called
pretty.
a faux porcelain look.
Yeah.
This is that exact same technique, but then taken to the next step and we actually cast the pieces.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
I think everyone's going to be looking at their gardens very differently.
I
I think we're all going to be looking down on the ground.
Well, it's also just an opportunity to preserve a moment in time.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we talked about, you would be surprised how many customers that we have that take even funeral flowers and make beautiful keepsakes from that. It's just a way in which to take a moment in time and preserve it. It's important for people.
Absolutely.
And also with weddings and
Yeah.
even bridal showers or baby
Yeah.
showers, you just anything that you can think of that you want to like.
Just have a memory,
Have a
like something
memory.
tangible that you
Yeah,
can hold.
exactly.
And I think a good reminder, as Becky said earlier, that she was going to share with us her tips for preserving the organic materials so that you can set them down. So that will be up on our blog shortly, and she's going to, share her information with us because we do get that question a lot.
Yeah.
Like, how do I take my wedding flowers and preserve them to be able to do something like this? So we're going to get you that information. Thanks to Becky.
And then let's go ahead and talk about what do we have left here.
So I know we've got a great tray back here
Yeah,
with
let's talk
some
about this.
beautiful charm bracelets.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move all of this stuff aside. So one of the things that Kat had asked me to talk about was how do I take the variety of techniques that we teach and make it look good.
Make it look good.
Make it look good. And
How do you do it, Becky?
it is one of the things that I really, really love about teaching is how do you take all kinds of information and make it into a cohesive piece. And these are some examples of multiple techniques that we offer and that I teach and tied them all into one particular project. This is a class that we've taught a couple times this year, and in that couple-day class, we go over, I think there's about 12 different techniques just in that one bracelet. And each student's piece comes out completely different. It's because it's an example of what is possible. And how I typically like to design is within a theme and a feel. So, and that's because I'm producing jewelry to sell. And then I'm producing sometimes jewelry just for my own personal aesthetics. My own personal aesthetics tends to be very elegant. I like old world. It's still a mixed media, but it has a specific look that just comes out of me naturally.
Well, and that's good that you can design for yourself, but then sort of feel like there's a specific person that you could design for, and being able to meld that into what they might like.
Yeah,
too.
so thinking about your audience is
Exactly.
really a key part of designing is like who is going to buy this, who is going to wear this, and they might not like that particular aesthetics. So in the class, each piece comes out uniquely to that student's desires or that student's look. Like I've had one student who did all dog theme within, and made the coolest bracelet, but it was all dog related things, you know, and other like really like a yoga theme or a hearts or. And then this particular piece right here is more of a Paris theme. This is just more elegant. So it can be a specific theme, like the imagery is really tying that in with the Eiffel Tower and anything that is a real regal feel. In these pieces here that we're using that sculpted relief. So this is that exact same technique that I just showed of creating a mold, pressing in your item, and in this case these were both brass stampings, or in this case was a charm, and to create that high relief, and then resin was poured over it. Just really tying in all kinds of mixed themes, but creating something that ties everything together. Also, what's really tying my pieces together are color. Choosing one palette The pink is used in many different ways. Again, mixing the metals with gold and silver, but the primary feel is that silver base, and then bringing in the gold as the accents. And then the black in the clay is tying all of the bits and pieces together, creating little teeny accents like we're seeing here. These are done with leftover little bits of crystal clay to create additional little accents that tie it all together.
Well, and I love just looking at the two fleur-de-lis pieces. You see it's the same color resin, but they have such different looks.
Yes.
Because you have the black clay and the white clay. It's just completely different pieces.
So a lot of what I'm doing too is, making a lot of different pieces and then really moving them around back and forth until you get a nice full flow and feel to the piece. The composition is a really key part to that. Like looking at where there's a lot of weight, you're going to use a smaller size piece, and where, just moving the pieces around until you get a nice look and feel.
So we almost go back to that Legos building blocks,
Yes,
where you're really
right.
playing, you're having fun with it, and you're mixing and matching. So it's like you said, the weight, you have this guy here, but you're balancing him over here,
Right.
and you can mix and match. I think it's also really great to see the variety of different objects you've combined.
Right.
So it is charms, but we've also got some resin, we've got some crystal clay. It's just fun to see that you're really combining a lot of different things. And here we've got paper and transfers. So you don't have to just stay within one family of techniques or even one family of types of products.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that there's some editing going on here, because I'm sure there were maybe more pieces that you wanted, or and then you're right, you kind of oh, this one works, nope, that one works, nope, let's put this one back.
Right.
And so there's a lot of editing and sort of design in that aspect, especially when you're doing such a ornate charm bracelet like that.
And I'm guessing
there's a lot going on.
those edited pieces became necklaces.
Yeah,
and earrings.
They became something else.
The same way when I was talking about how I did the organic, molds, that I just had this urgency to organize my organics. It's really about the ingredients. Like when a baker goes to sit down or goes to cook, she pulls all of her ingredients, or he pulls all of her, in case of my household, all the ingredients out, and then you make your item. Well, that's also true with the jewelry making, is I might have a lot of these pieces that I've done over time, and then I put them in bins according to theme, that they have a common feel. Then when I start to notice that I've got a good body of them, I'll pull them all out, and you start to do that editing process of moving them around and kind of tying. Who would have thought that would have gone really well with this flowers, But it's really the tying together with the copper, and added that copper on there to pick up that little accent there, so that those did play together nicely. And those are two examples of how you can do them on charm bracelets, but it's not limited just to that. Here's an example of, mixing things up. So you have one piece that's really technique oriented, but tied it together with having it be a high relief look, and tying it together with the rest of the pieces. And you see in this collection here, these are all bangle bracelets, adjustable bangle bracelets. So even wrapping in a little piece of leather or suede to kind of bring in that whole boho feel into one. So here's some bangle bracelets, and here's another example of a charm bracelet, just tying all of these pieces together. And this is a technique piece just because it has resin, but it just gives that extra little color. So I might have been doing some pieces over here that were pouring the colorized resin, but then had a little bit of resin left over, so maybe mixed in a little white, or a little, add that same color, just filling in a couple of bezels as accents. Here it just has sprinkled over a couple of little glitter rocks over the top to tie it in. Here's just straight glitter rocks. So you can see all of the different techniques and how they all start to play together.
And it's fun because I'm noticing, like you said, it was just little leftovers, and here were little leftovers. So it's you could always find something to do with your leftovers when you're doing mixed media.
Yes.
Never toss anything.
Right. Well, yeah. I think that's a really important thing, is really being responsible with your materials. And we do a lot of sales to jewelers who are doing production pieces, and waste is every time you have waste, you're basically losing profit.
Yeah.
So how do you use those little extra bits of crystal clay while it's still within that 90-minute working time? Or how do you use that little extra bit of mixed resin that you have left over? Instead of letting it go to waste, finding ways to use it and be productive with it. And you know, it just really takes having a lot of ingredients on the table and being mindful of how you're creating and how you set things up. Like I do, you guys probably do this, when you do resin mixes, it's either, I usually do it the very first thing in the morning because then I have all day. So one day might just be prepping dozens of pieces and then going
that's what we
in
do as well.
and then doing the pour, or work in a group, you know, like when we have
We do that.
Yeah.
It's like we have resin day.
Yeah, resin
We just
day.
do it all
Resin day.
together.
So we have art day at Nunn Design, and you know, everybody works together as a team to talk about like, what are you producing, when are you going to be mixing which resin, and you know, everybody is divvying up the little cups and using it for the purposes.
It's like it all sounds familiar.
We always have molds handy, and that last little bit of resin always becomes like glitter magnets because we just pour them into like a star, put some glitter in them, and then we've got magnets for our fridge.
All right.
I do have a question for you, Becky. Have you ever done glass blown beads?
I personally have not done any glass blown beads, but we do sell a lot of products to glass artists. We have some products that are designed specifically for glass cabs, and that they can drop the glass cabs in. But I personally have not done, I have done a couple of classes using glass glass beads, but not glass blown beads.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for
it's
your
a little bit of a
question.
different technique.
Yes, it's a totally different technique, and it's really interesting because I took an enamel class this last year, but it was taught by a glass artist, and it was
interesting.
really interesting because they were brass stampings, you know, like what we have here, and then you use enamel, but all the techniques were glass related, and I just had a really big insight when I was taking that class because I was like, there's so many things that a glass artist knows. There's so many things that you and I know as far as seed beads, or you know, like how to handle the tools or how to hold something. And I was in this class and I was completely lost. You know, it's like I didn't even know how to turn my, you know, whatever I was holding within the flame, or what part of the flame to use. So it's like each technique is its own area, and I got a lot of respect for those glass artists.
Oh yes, I've seen it done, and I'm just in awe.
Yeah,
just
me
like,
too.
"Oh, I don't know if I'd try that one. But yeah, much respect for those artists.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I love it. That's what I love about jewelry making. There's always more to learn. There's
Yeah.
always another technique to explore. Like if you haven't tried this, there's always something new. And
Or a new tool or
a new
something
tool.
like that.
Yeah.
So.
But what we spend our time with at Nunn Design is finding ways to a glass blown jewelry artist who's going to be making those glass beads. How could they incorporate metals into that, and how could we make their lives easier? Like they might make a drop or something like this, but then how do you attach it to something to make it into a pendant? Or so we really focus on not necessarily that particular technique, but how can we incorporate that artisan's work within what we do.
Well, that's good, because then, you know, it feels like everybody can approach your line with how can I make this work for my, you know, aesthetic and my technique, and bring what I do and meld it with what you do.
Well, that's a big part too of what we do at Nunn Design, is we're really thinking about this collection is very specific, especially that nature collection. It's a line of charms, but within the line of Nunn Design, such as these bezels that we're seeing here, you know, we're really thinking about like how can a fiber artist use this and incorporate, needlepoint artist, how can they incorporate? So it's really a blank canvas for an artisan of any kind of look and medium to incorporate. Polymer, we have some fabulous polymer clay artists that work with our so it's not just mixed media, you know, it's very, it can be, I'm just seeing some amazing fibers coming out in jewelry making right now, in particular needlepoint. Just incredible pieces using Nunn Design bezels, and they're doing their needlepoint and placing it inside of there. And so, an artist that would have been only doing things that were more like a tabletop setting, how do they incorporate their art form into a wearable art form?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if you're out there and if you've used any of the Nunn design pieces, share with us, especially on
I'd love to
Facebook
see
or Instagram. We are always very odd at what our customers do, and we've gotten some private messages, but please share with the whole Facebook group. And we love being able to show what our customers are doing, and it's always inspiring to us to see what you guys are doing as well.
Yes,
so
it is.
Definitely share.
Yes.
All right, you want to do a project?
Yes.
I think we should.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab the tray right here. So Becky has made a pair of earrings ahead of time, and she's gonna show us how to do it here on camera. So again, we're talking about that layering, using these as Legos, building blocks, and we're going to go ahead, and she's got all her ingredients right here, and she's going to build them for us. So what tools do you need?
Just these two.
Just these two?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I made these quite a while ago, so let me just, I have to remember myself. So let's start out with the first thing that we're going to do is we're gonna make this, they're kind of like in two different segments. We have this end part right here, and then we have the next part here, and then it attaches onto this lever back. So, as you can see here, so we have one eye pin, and we're gonna go ahead and put on one of these pearls, and these are Swarovski pearls, aren't they?
They are.
These are so pretty. All right, I have to grab my glasses. So we're gonna add on that purple, iridescent, really cool Swarovski right on top of there. And then we have these two bead caps that are overlapping with one another. So you thread on that. And when it's a tight fit like that, just go ahead and push up with your thumb, making that drop up inside of there. And then on the second one, we're gonna layer this one slightly, so it's kind of like overlapped like
So
that.
you just pushed it a little bit.
I'm just
then it
pushing it up
cupped
with
it.
my thumb right on top there, and it drops up inside of the bead cap. Then we have two bead caps, and this is all spec'd out on your website. Don't you have all of this?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. I think there's a tutorial, so we have another one here. And then once you have this section made up, so now I have, and that's a really cool stopping point right there. And you can do like a whole entire bracelet with all kinds of different combinations of this, just mixing and matching and making a cool charm bracelet like we were looking at earlier. Then I have two pairs of needle nose pliers, and everybody does their loops different. This is how I don't even know. I don't think I was ever taught how to do my loops.
Okay, I'm gonna keep
I know,
this
no. I already know.
Sorry
So
for the hand from the screen.
So it's about 1/4 of an inch is what I know, a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch that I'm gonna do. And this is what Julie was commenting on. I think that the photographer might have been shot a couple of times, but I even
He has.
I even save these extra little bits because as we saw in that charm bracelet, you can add a little bit of crystal clay right onto the end of that. So save all of your extra little bits, and you can utilize even those. Then with either a pair of needle nose pliers, or these are just round pliers, and these aren't my tool, so it's a new tool. I just start making a loop and I just curve it, bringing it to the base. And that's kind of how I make my loops. But everybody, I've seen so many different great ways. Do you do yours different, Kat and Julie?
I tend to use a wire looping plier.
Yes.
I use wire
I
looping
love
pliers.
it. It has a concave nose and a round nose.
Right.
But I think this is great. I've never seen a loop made like that,
Well-
and I think that is a really fun way to make a loop.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't learn it. I just taught myself, and then and I think I was doing something another time, and I saw somebody else do it, and I was like, I can totally see how that would be a good way to do it. But anyway, it allows me to make the loop, and it's consistent in size. And then if you
Yeah.
get down to the base and it's not quite right where you want it, you can just adjust it and create that nice. Even nice round loop. So that's the base part that we just put together here. So next we're gonna go do this part right here, and it's just a whole lot of stacking. So this I'm gonna start out with already an eye pin. That loop is already made. And you can open this up now and thread on this first part that we already made. And close that back up. Keep on taking my glasses on and off, and so then I can't see.
You are not alone.
I know, I know.
Like, we understand.
Yes. Yeah. And so you go ahead and bring that back down. All right, so now we're going to start stacking. As we see here, this bead cap is going to be upside down. See how it is there? And then we're going to add on another one of the Swarovski pearl beads. This is a larger size one. Isn't that beautiful? So now you can see those two together.
One thing I like about using Swarovski beads for the pearls is they have nice large holes
Yeah.
that you can easily get the head pins and the eye pins through.
You know, that is a really important thing, isn't it? I can't tell you how many beads that I have purchased over time, you know, at trade shows and such, and you get home and you're like, I mean, it's like,
Yes.
you know, trying to find just that bead that's going to fit. And yet, as you can see, I'm doing a lot of that turning upside down, like we talked about before. So here it was face down, and here now all of these pieces are turned upside down. And then we have our last piece right here. We're going to thread on. So now we have that finished bead. Exact same thing that we saw earlier, about 1/4 of an inch down. Holding this piece right here so you don't shoot Chris. And
we
then,
need to have a blooper reel because we have unfortunately had flying ends.
Oh, yes.
so I'm starting at the top right here and then just using the very tips of my pliers, starting to bend, because you can see how I'm just taking it to that curve area right here and just bending it all the way around. And then coming back into the base and then bending it up straight. Now I'm going to open this back up, and then we put on our lever back and close that, and we have this super fun little pair of earrings.
So I love looking right now. So here's this great pile of all these little its and bits and components, and it becomes something so cool and cohesive looking. Like it looks
It's so elegant.
Elegant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the perfect word for it.
Yeah. Yep,
Yep,
there you
so-
go. So then we'd save these little guys and have them handy for the next project.
And that was really quick. So if you were to do the second piece as well and make a complete pair, are we talking 5 minutes?
5
Oh,
minutes.
yeah.
To make a lovely gift for someone
Right.
or whatever maybe it is that you want to do?
Right. The most challenging part is designing it, and we've taken out a lot of that with this
Yeah.
particular project. But that's also where the fun is.
Yeah,
you know,
I was gonna
it's
say,
just
like
like
you just want to get it all and then just see it and play with
and
it.
I think that the biggest thing for people is that they get locked into like, I'm not good at this, or you know, I'm not a designer, or I'm not a jewelry artist. And when you start telling yourself that garbage, it's not as fun.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you just like say, I'm just gonna play, I'm just gonna play and see what I can do, and you let go of your attachment to how things come out, it's fun. It just makes it really enjoyable. And
Oh, yeah.
that's what's great about this particular collection is these pieces. There's a whole series of bead caps that we'd already had in the line, so that's what we're seeing with a lot of these pieces. And then these are some of the newer pieces that we've incorporated in, but all of them work. There's a cast line as well, and we saw a lot of those samples earlier. They all incorporate together, so it's super fun.
Yeah, and it's like, I think, you know, if you do have some old, you know, bead caps that you just couldn't figure out how to use, well, with some of the newer bead caps, it's like, oh, it all fits, you
Right,
know?
yeah.
That's where it's like, don't get rid of anything. you
Right?
know?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back, there's like really not a right or wrong way
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your personal taste. So just like Becky made a simple wire loop, very different than how I
Yeah.
make one or you make one, it still works. So when you're designing, let yourself play. Don't think you're doing it wrong. If it's something that appeals to you and it works, go for it. It's
Right.
not wrong. And we get that question a lot from our YouTube videos. It's like, you did it this way, but I do it this way. Was I wrong? Did it work? Did you like the results?
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't wrong.
Right.
So you really
It's art.
can let go of that feeling.
Right.
Like it has to be a certain way and just have fun.
Right. And another thing is practice.
Practice,
You know,
absolutely.
practice, you know, it's like, you know, now that you know, my kids are 9 and 13, it's like, oh, I'm not any good at that. And it's like, well, how many times have you done it? You know, and it's easy for you to tell a kid that, but it's harder to tell adults that. It's like, how many times have you made a loop? How many times? It just took time and time and time again. And of course, I do make it look easy. You do make it look easy. And it might not be easy for the person who tries it for the first time, but we've done it a couple times, you know, it should be easy for us. And, you know, just like giving yourself the, you know, the time and giving yourself the permission to be bad at something.
Yes.
You know, we all start out with what we start out. And some of us are truly gifted, other of us are not, you know.
Takes a little while longer to learn some techniques.
Yeah, right.
Yep, crimp beads were mine. Like 2 days of crying.
Yes.
Like serious crying. Like,
Right.
okay, I understand how this should work.
Right.
I've got the pliers. It is not working.
Crimp beads flying across the room.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, just keep at it. Keep practicing. Keep
And
playing.
we're always here if you guys have questions, get stuck. Always send us more stuff. I mean, we're happy to help. That's what we do. That's why we love to do the video tutorials and everything. So please hit us up.
And Becky's been so great to do so many videos for us, and she's about to do a bunch more and share her knowledge and share her techniques. So we're always so grateful for that.
How much time do we still have?
We just have just a few minutes, so I just want to remind everyone, go ahead and make those last few comments, and we are going to give away our giveaway here very soon. Any last little tips or tricks that you want to share? I know you're going to do some videos, of course, for us. We'll have those up soon. But
I since we were talking about, you know, practice and things like that, one of the things that I just wanted to show with this piece here is that it's also getting to be very popular to not have things be precision. You know, for example, this is an example of, you know, just random knot tying and then just, you know, trying to get it to all tied together somewhat, but it doesn't have to be precision. These little guys up here, these have probably been one of my, like, you know, it takes time to learn how to fold these over and attach it on there. And, you know, it's like, and every now and then I get one where I can't do it right and it gets frustrating. And you just have to know that that's just going to happen. You know, same with resin. It's like, how come I get resin and bubbles in my resin? Because resin and bubbles mix. You know, it happens.
It happens.
You know, if you don't want resin in your bubbles, then do a sea theme where it's appropriate. You know,
Put some glitter in there.
yeah, throw a little glitter in there, a little, you're fine.
right.
Make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, well, I think we're ready to pick our winner here.
Okay, so here again is the giveaway. And what we just ask is once we call out your name, send us a private message on Facebook with your address, and we will send you all these beautiful pieces to play with. And we're going to choose one person at random from all of those who commented, and then we will send these great pieces.
And you're going to get, just a little bit of everything, which is great.
All right.
It'll be plenty for you to do a project, something that you've been inspired by today. Yep.
Absolutely. And I actually can see, even if you just, you know, wanted to put some simple chains on some of these are some great gifts coming up. I mean,
yeah, like this example here. I mean, I did it a couple of combinations, but this is just a ball chain.
Yeah.
I added on an extra little thing right here, but it doesn't have to. You could have just put it right onto that, but that's just super elegant in itself.
Yeah.
It's not just elegant; it's also cool, funky, hip. I mean, it can be.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point to point out, just as we're waiting to pick our winner at random. You can do something like this, which is gorgeous, and it's a lot of different techniques. You can equally do something really simple. It doesn't always have to be something that's more complicated. You can do something really beautiful with just how many jump rings? We've got 3 jump rings, a really pretty charm pendant, and then a chain.
Right, we got more complicated up here, but this is, you don't have to do this part. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
And that goes back to that layering, you know?
Yeah.
You can just keep adding and then edit.
Making
It's
it as
great.
complicated as you want. Yep.
All right,
Do we
ready
have a
for our
name?
winner? Congratulations, Erin Shaw.
Yay!
So send us a private message. Let us know where we can ship your lovely gift, and we will send that out to you this week.
Yeah, congratulations, Erin.
Congratulations. I hope you have fun.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Julie Bean and Becky Nunn, for being here from Nunn Design. I'm Kat Sylvia, and be sure to join us next month. Not sure what the topic is going to be, so you're going to have to tune in to find out. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.